Welcome to Applied Spreadsheets, the Week 2 Lab 1 work assignment. I'm going to walk through the directions of this assignment, but it is important to note that you also need to open up your e-textbook and go through each one of the steps in the assignment directions and make sure you have each one completed properly. I'm going to begin by opening up the Lab Work 1 link in Week 2, and I can see my lab assignment is in the labs, Lab 1. I'm completing a loan balance worksheet located in our e-textbook on page EX123 and EX124, where we will be completing steps 1 through 11. In order to get started, you'll need to launch your e-textbook located on the left-hand side menu of our class website. Once you launch our e-textbook, we will be looking at Chapter 2. It is important to note that in order to execute this assignment thoroughly and understand the functions that we'll be covering, you want to thoroughly go through the reading assignment for Chapter 2. Let's navigate directly to the lab assignment page in our textbook, which is EX123. Here I will see in the labs, I see Lab 1, the loan balance worksheet. The scenario we have is you're a part-time assistant working in an accounting department at Help Today Personal Loans, which is a Cincinnati-based personal loan company supplying small loans to individuals. You have been asked to use Excel to generate a report that summarizes the existing loan balances, which we see here in Figure 2.73. Our customer data is in Table 2.6, which we will be using for this assignment. Let's look at the detailed steps for this particular lab. I've just turned to page EX124, where I see step number 1 for the assignment. We need to launch Excel and start a new worksheet. We're going to start with a title on that worksheet called Help Today Personal Loans, and we will add a subtitle, Monthly Loan Balance Analysis. So I will put those titles in here. And my subtitle Next, I'm going to do some formatting options in columns A through E. I do need to merge those cells. I will need to center those cells as well. I'll do the same in row 2 with my subtitle. I will merge my cells. I need to center my cells. In row 1, I do need to change that font size and correct my spelling here. But don't worry, we'll run a spell check at the very end. I need to change my font size to a 28 point. I also need to do additional formatting options where I will shade in rows 1 and 2. I will be changing my text color here so that stands out a little more readily. You'll want to go through and make sure that you've completed all of the steps for row 1, because I'm doing a very quick walkthrough each one of these steps to give you the general idea. Looking at step number 2, I need to change the column width of column A to 19 points. When I look at column A, I can look in my ribbon on the Home tab in the Cells panel grouping at Format, and here I will find column width. And for column width, if we have 19 points that we're looking for, I could do 1.65. How I can verify that, and what I want to point out to you is here when I look at the actual column width, I can see the points are at 19, which is 1.65 of an inch. Just as a note, if I expand that out and say I want to look at 30 points, I would have entered in 2.57. Your column width may already be set to points, so that's a little point that you want to explore and look at. I want this set to 19 points, so I will set this column back. The next direction I'm looking at is changing the width of column B through E to 15 points. So if I look at columns B through E and I want to change that column width to 15 points, again on the ribbon in the Home tab for the Sales panel, I will look at column width, and because I want to set that to, we said, I already forgot what we said for those directions. So I think it was maybe not 0.5. That was 15 points. That's correct. So again, when I look at this and when I'm looking to set to 15 points, here I will see the points. I really want to be entering in 1.32. So when I select these columns and I am formatting the points for column width, it would be 1.32. So now I have the appropriate column width for B, C, D, and E. Moving along, I need to complete steps here where I am looking to change the row heights of row 3 to 36 points. So if I look at row 3, I need to change this height to 36 points. And again, for formatting a row height, I will set this to 0.5. Again, when I look at my height here, I can see that that is set to 36 points. Additionally, I need to now look at row 14 and set that to 22.5 points. I look at row 14 and I'm setting that to 25.4 points. And so I have that. So I have all of my steps in row 2 completed, and now I move along to step 3. I need to enter the column titles in row 3 and row titles in the range of E13, the range of A13 through A16. So I'm looking at A13 through 16. And I need to enter in all of my row titles. And I'm looking at figure 2.73 in order to do that. When I go back to figure 2.73 on the previous page, that's where we see that data that's entered in here. So I need to transfer this information here. Let me just get started with that. So I know I'm going to put in customer, previous balance, payments, I have a monthly fee. The other step here was current balance and current balance. I'll need to do some formatting to these as well, and I'll come back to that in just a moment. I'm also going to need to put in the customer data here that we see here in rows 4 through 12. We can read that here in this figure 2.6 a little more easily. So I need to take all that information that I see here for our customers, and I'm going to need to type that data in. And previous balance was $16.72, and our payments made was $72.15. So I need to continue on through each one of our customers and add in all of the information that we see here in this table. And so due to the lovely ability of video time, rather than you watch me type all this data, this would be a good time to pause this video and for you to complete and finish entering in the customer information with the balance and payment information that you see on the previous page, EX123 in table 2.6. Just jumping ahead for just a moment for steps, I'm going to look at 13, 14, 15, and 16 rows. And here, so for 13, I will type in totals, and for 14 will be average, lowest, and highest. Ultimately then, I'll be needing to apply a bold font style to these. And ultimately, I need to put center and put on a heading style for my row 3 headers. And so that's in the ribbon in the Home tab. So if I look at formatting, I have various different heading styles. I will pick a heading 3 style. I will increase that font size, and I do need to center that. And I think the font size is 12. You'll need to verify that step. And so that is now everything is centered, and it does have a heading 3 formatting style applied. Let me fast forward so that I can open up where I have transferred in most of that data minus average, lowest, and highest. Okay, so we are now together. You would have entered in all of your data from the figure, and now we can move on to the next steps. We've completed up to number 4, and now we're getting into step number 5 of entering in the appropriate formulas. So in order to enter in the formulas for step number 5, I am looking to determine the monthly fee in column D, and the current balance I want to display in column E. So when I look at the first customer, which is Ralph in row 4, I will begin by looking at our monthly fee. And so now here I see I need to enter in what the monthly fee function is. Well, we do know that a function is always going to start with our equal sign. And when we start our function with the equal sign, I will just type that right in here, or I can type it up here in the function window. And I am looking at adding 0.5, that's 5%. And I'm going to multiply that. So multiplying is the asterisk key, which is also located on the number 8 key of your keyboard. So this is the function that I have so far, and I'm looking at multiplying 5% and the previous balance. The previous balance is actually right here in column B, row 4. I can actually just click on that, and B4 automatically populates there for me. I'll hit on the green check so I can accept and enter that function. So that's how I'm able to get through calculating out the monthly fee by using the formula for 5%, which is 0.05 times B4. I'll do the same just to give you an example on column D for row 5. Again, a function begins with the equal sign, and I am looking to calculate 5%, 0.05, and I will multiply that by the amount that's here for Howard's previous balance, so that would be in B5. I'll enter that formula, and there's my data. I'll continue through with this process, but I think you have the idea now. We're doing an equals, and we're looking at 0.05, which is 5%, and asterisk sign, which is multiply, and I am multiplying the previous balance, which is here in B6, and entering it in that formula. Again, you'll continue that on for the others. When I'm looking to acquire the current balance here in E5, for E5 for the current balance, I essentially am looking at starting my function as always with the equal sign, and per the directions, I'm looking at the previous balance. So the previous balance is in column B, row 4. So I'm looking at column B, row 4. And for previous balance, I want to subtract or minus. So I will use subtract sign here, and I want to subtract payments. Well, payments I see is located right here, and that's in C4. So I'm looking to subtract payments, C4, and I'm looking at direction number 5 here in my book, and now I want to add monthly fee. So I will do addition, and the monthly fee is located here in column D, row 4, D4. I will enter that function, and that's how I get my balance. So you can see that function here. Let's walk through another one. In order to get the current balance, I'm starting my function and I'm looking at the previous balance, which is here in B5. After that, I want to subtract the payments, so I'm going to use a subtraction sign, and the payments are here in C5. From there, I need to add, and I'm looking to add the monthly fee, which is here in D5. I can then now enter in that formula, and my amount is there for me. Again, I will continue through doing the same function here for each one of these. I will start with my sum equal sign, or my equal sign, and from there I will look at my previous balance minus any payments that have been made plus the monthly fee, and enter that, and that gives me my current balance. Again, you can continue on through each one of these cells to complete that. One other function that we are going to need to do is to do the totals for each one of our columns, and I can do that on the Formulas tab through summing and getting my sums. So here I'm looking to sum up each one of these. Once I complete the monthly fee and once I complete all of the current balances, I'll total those up here in row 13 as well. When I'm looking at obtaining the average, the lowest, the minimum, or the highest, the maximum, essentially, per our directions, what we're looking to do is we're looking to add up the range from B4 through B12. So if I'm looking at B4 through B12 only, I am going to want to use the average function. And this is going to give me the average balance. Once I acquire that average, I can now move on to the next one where I'm going to look at the minimum. So again, I'll be looking at using the functions, formulas bar, and I'm going to go to minimum. And on the next range, I'm going to go to maximum, which is not correct. So for maximum, I want to make sure I just have B4 through B12, and then I'll do maximum there. Once I have those in, I'll be able to copy those, and I can actually paste them right in to the next area where that is needed. And you will be able to see, actually, and these have a green ticker in the upper left corner because I have not completed all of these rows yet for the sake of this video. Here you can see the average. It's looking at ranges C4 through C12. And here you can see for minimum, it's looking at range C4 through C12. Or did that say C13, which is wrong. This would need to be C12. Yeah. And this would also need to be 12. Okay, so as I continue to go through C4 through C12, C4 through C12. Okay, so I just double check this. As I continue to go through, I'm going to fast forward here for just a moment. Now that I have all of my information and formulas put in, and I finished out all of the formulas in column D, and after I finished all those formulas, I was able to select the range of rows 4 through 12, and I was able to apply the sum function here. I did the same in column E. I finished out all of the functions to complete each one of those, and then I was able to go ahead and select rows 4 through 12 and apply the sum function here in E13. Now that I have in all of my data, looking at step number 8 in your textbook directions, we just need to do some cell formatting. So I need to select the cells in column B through E in row 4. I can right-click on that and select Formatting Cells. Here I want to assign a currency value with a floating $sign, and I will say OK. In the cells for column B through E, rows 4 through 12, I need to format that to a to a number 2-point decimal style. I need to do the same for my total, where I'm going to also do a currency with the floating $, and I need to format the bottom where I have my average, lowest, and highest, and I need to format that as well. I will actually keep that as number 2 decimal point. Next, when I look at step number 9, I need to apply conditional formatting. I'm looking at applying a white font on a purple background to look at in column D, rows 4 through 12. I'm only looking to apply that conditional formatting to any cell that has a value greater than 50. So when I look at D 4 through 12, on my ribbon on the Home tab, I'm going to look for Conditional Formatting, and I want to highlight cell rules. I'm looking at greater than, and my greater than value that I'll enter here is 50. So here I see I'm looking at cell value that's greater than, and the number is 50. I need to format that with, and here I need to enter in a custom format. I have tab options here at the top. I am going to look at fill because the fill color I am seeking to make it a dark purple. On my font though, I do want my font color to be white, as the directions outlined that I need a white font on a purple background. So I will select my font, and I can select my font size and etc. and format that. Once I say OK, here you will see that conditional formatting that is applied here on any of the cells in column D that has a value greater than 50. Hence, the cells that are less than 50 are not highlighted as part of that condition. The next step that I need to do on step 10 is I need to change sheet 1 name, and I'll be changing that to loan balance. So here I will type in loan balance, and then I need to apply a tab color, and the tab color is going to be an orange standard. So here I will do tab color, and I'll select an orange standard color. Once I have that, you're going to need to make sure that you run spell check on your document, and once you run spell check and do a complete proof through, you can go through everything, which help today is just one of those that would need corrected, as a little hint for you. And so I don't need to correct the spelling of last names, so I will be able to ignore those, and now I've run spell check for the whole entire sheet. One thing to make sure that you look for on your sheet before turning in is if you ever see a green tick mark in a corner of a cell, such as this green tick mark that you see in this corner of this cell here, is indicating to you that there is a problem with the data that's in that cell. Sometimes it's something as simple as a little oversight in a function, and that just needs that you need to address that and correct that value or correct that function. It could also mean that perhaps you are looking at doing calculations where maybe you have no data in a range. And because I do not have any data right now in E11, I see the green tick mark in the upper left-hand corner of each one of those cells. And that's simply to alert us that maybe there's a problem with your function, or maybe we simply made an oversight and meant to put data into this cell and we missed it. And the green ticker mark is trying to call your attention out to that. If you really had no data, you don't want to leave it blank. You would at least put in a 0, and that takes away the green tick. But again, here I do have a function as we see the functions that were used in the same for all of them. After you've run spell check and you've gone through and you make sure that all your functions are correct, that you have data values and no green tick marks, make sure you take a quick moment and review through the steps of 1 through 11 here in your course textbook, because I did a very high level walkthrough and not so much as a detailed step-by-step. Last thing you need to do is a file save as, and save your file with your last name. Call this Week 2 Lab 1. Make sure you have your full name with the lab assignment. Again, this is lab work for Week 2 Lab 1. You also have Lab 2 to complete, so you'll have a second assignment for Week 2 Lab 2. Thanks for listening to this walkthrough, and I look forward to seeing some solid Lab 1 assignments.